Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and of course, continuing on with the Marvel films, now we come to, finally, the third to last MCU film in Phase 4. Sorry, four fingers. Yeah, so again, the third to last MCU film in Phase 4, and, this is especially right after, what we saw in the last one, which of course being Spider-Man No Way Home, and how in that, because this started, multiverse thing and such, bringing different versions of these Marvel characters together with what Spider-Man No Way Home brought, and how this kind of thing would continue on in the next installment in Phase 4 of the MCU, and with a returning face, whom we would finally get a sequel of his own. Yeah, because it took quite a while at the time for there being a sequel to this one powerful Marvel character who, for, starting in 2016 and, throughout the years, we kept seeing him pop up, whether if it was just a small appearance or, having a big role in, say, the last two Avengers films. And, yeah, and after Spider-Man No Way Home, where he had a prominent role, well, it wouldn't take too long to once again see good old Doctor Strange be in another MCU film, this time centering on him, which would be a movie of his own. And that, of course, being Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Yes. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the long-awaited Doctor Strange sequel that we knew that one day we would get after the first Doctor Strange film, aside from Doctor Strange, as I said, popping up here and there after his first movie, appearing in other, MCU films, from, making, cameos and having prominent roles, again, in the last two Avengers films, and having a prominent role in, Spider-Man No Way Home. And like I said, because after what happened in Spider-Man No Way Home, where this started this multiverse thing, and how we would see that again in this, and yeah. So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness itself, because the first things I have to say, because, for me, and for a lot of other people who, knew that this was coming, and this and right next to Spider-Man No Way Home were definitely the next two most anticipated films in the MCU after the last two Avengers films. Yeah, and we knew, because what was in store for No Way Home and the Multiverse of Madness, it was going to be awesome. Some more exciting and surprising characters were going to appear, and what these two films had to offer. And, No Way Home, turned out great and successful and just unbelievable. But for the Multiverse of Madness, it was promising with what it had to offer and such, but at the same time, how it was received, sadly very mixed. And I say very, very mixed. Not to mention, because this coming out the same year alongside with another movie, not Marvel related, but it definitely has to do with, traveling in different universes and such. And I'm pretty sure you know what it is that I'm talking about. Oscar winning. So, basically that one beat the Multiverse of Madness being the best, multiverse and, traveling in different universes kind of movie, okay? But that's not to say Multiverse of Madness was a big disappointment. No, because I don't think it was that bad, and like I said, it's very mixed. It's not god-awful, but probably not that strong like some of the other past MCU films, I, of course, get where the story was going, and, of course, the emotional moments and the funny moments do not disappoint in the Multiverse of Madness. No siree. I think, because the Multiverse of Madness did pretty good with that, and with some exciting moments that happened in this in this, MCU film, and this being a sequel to Doctor Strange. And by the way, because the director of the first Doctor Strange movie, I remember, because when a sequel to Doctor Strange was announced, and there was no official title yet at that time, well, the director of the first Doctor Strange movie, he was at one point attached, but then at some point, he dropped out due to creative differences and doing other projects. So, yeah, I guess, the direction that was, that the movie was going to go for, I guess that just wasn't his, taste and style and what he wanted for the sequel. Yeah, so, but enter a new director for, a Doctor Strange sequel, whom we hadn't seen in quite a while directing movies, and for that matter, directing a comic book movie adaptation, which, being something Marvel, that being Sam Raimi. Good old Sam Raimi, who stepped in directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because it had been quite a while, as I said, that he had directed a movie and also something Marvel-related, especially after, at the time, the poor results and receivings of the third and final Spider-Man film he did in his Spider-Man movie trilogy. And after that, he doubted himself that he could, do another good comic book movie adaptation. But he was intrigued and thought, maybe he could give it another shot, and especially since I also read this, another fun fact, because Sam Raimi, he quite enjoyed the first Doctor Strange film and enjoyed the character of Doctor Strange himself. Yes, that's nice to see. And as I said, he hadn't directed a movie in quite a while. Not just, the Spider-Man movies he did, or like, say, I can think of that one movie he did called Drag Me to Hell. Yeah, I got that right. But the last movie he directed before coming back to the director's chair doing Multiverse of Madness, well, I'm sure some of you would know that he directed his very own Wizard of Oz adaptation, from Disney, Oz the Great and Powerful, and that was the last movie at the time that he would direct. But, fast forward, he would once again return to the director's chair to bring us Multiverse of Madness. And come on, it's Sam Raimi we're talking about, and I think he did a pretty good job with this. And of course, he's no stranger to doing something Marvel, okay? So, and of course, Danny Elfman came back, collaborating with Sam Raimi as they had done in the past, and Danny Elfman's score and music in this turned out pretty good. But with that being said, and I've been talking quite a bit, because I hadn't gotten to this. Yeah, as always, read the description / the story. Doctor Strange teams up with a mysterious teenage girl from his dreams who can travel across multiverses to battle multiple threats, including other universe versions of himself, which threaten to wipe out millions across the multiverse. Okay, so, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness itself, and getting into it. Because, doesn't disappoint with how it opens, because, it depends, and, sometimes you'd have, an intense, opening and such, whoa, what's going on? And, the further it explains what's going on. We once again, get the appearance of Dr. Stephen Strange, once again being played by good old Benedict Cumberbatch, or so it is, the Doctor Strange that we know in the main universe of the MCU. Because he, alongside with a new character stepping into the MCU, and for the first time on screen, America Chavez, I think, yeah, I got the last name right, yeah. America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez. I don't even know if I'm saying her first name right, but, I'll just go by Gomez. Yeah, I'll just say Gomez. Yeah, so Gomez, officially being the first actress to play America Chavez. America Chavez, because from what I know, because, she's a very powerful, character and such in the Marvel comics, And I know that I've probably established this before because, yeah, most of these Marvel characters, some, making their way into the MCU and such, I'm being introduced to the first time, because some of them I, really don't quite fully know them from the comics until, some of them making their way, on the big screen or on TV, because with the Marvel shows on Disney Plus, yeah. So, the same goes for me. The same goes for, best example, Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't know that much about the Guardians of the Galaxy, and nobody did until their first movie happened. Now we know, and we know those versions of the Guardians. But of course, there are different other versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the Marvel comics and their look and design, and that goes for any other character who would appear on screen for the first time in the MCU. So there you go. And not just the MCU, but other Marvel films that really are not tied to the MCU, okay? So, anyways, they're basically running away from this creature and such, and basically, we find out further on that, because it's going after America for a very specific reason, and, because at one point, that Doctor Stephen Strange was going to take her powers away, being the only way, at least they think at first, to take her powers away so this madness can end with whomever it is that's trying to take her powers. That Dr. Stephen Strange that was with America was about to, even when he was getting attacked by that creature, trying to take her powers away, but unfortunately he wasn't able to successfully, get the entirety of her power. And also, there's these two powerful books, one good and one evil. Because, the book of Vishanti, if I'm saying that word right, the book of Vishanti was able to resist, I'm reading the description of it, was able to resist the magic of the Dark Hold, empowered Scarlet Witch possessing her counterpart, so that book is like a good book and such of magic, and there's also the Dark Hold, but more on the Dark Hold, until I, proceed on with this movie. And to speed things up, because, America just making her way out of there, and basically, we also find out that whenever she is scared and such, when she's scared, she has the ability to open, portals and such to different universes. That's her power, and what she can do. Just simply walking through different universes. So, and then we see, because after that Dr. Stephen Strange that we first see gets killed, because we see the Stephen Strange that we know so well, in that one main universe of the MCU, waking up supposedly from a dream, or so it could have been. So, basically, because he gets up after supposedly what could have been a dream, and basically he's getting ready for a wedding. But whose wedding? Well, it turns out, and after an awkward moment between him and another doctor, just an ordinary doctor, not like him, Dr. Nick West, being played by Michael Stuhlbarg, if I'm saying the last name right, Dr. West just giving Stephen a hard time because of, and mentioning of the blip, being dusted for 5 years, and for Dr. West mentioning that he had, I think, 2 cats, and lost those 2 cats, obviously, because when he came back, and even mentioning to Stephen Strange, and just, golly, just how awful, just making it hard on him, because, mentioning about not getting the girl, and, well, this being the only way to defeat Thanos, and because of the snap, all that, so yeah. And because when he mentioned to Stephen about not getting the girl, well, whom it is, this wedding that Stephen is attending to is Christine Palmer's wedding. Dr. Christine Palmer is back, and once again being played by Rachel McAdams. So it's her wedding, and it's unfortunate because even when they're having a little chat, and of course it doesn't go too well, and with what Steven is saying, you know, she basically establishes to Steven that it wouldn't have worked out between them. And she does mention that, you know, he wanted Steven to be introduced, was going to introduce Steven to her husband, who is a huge fan of him specifically. And even before that happens, and when she walks off at one point, well, commotion is happening outside, and of course, you know, this attracts Steven, and, well, him going to investigate it, pulling out his cape, of course, the cape being there, and changing his wardrobe. And yeah, because, like, the technique that Steven has, like, changing his wardrobe, because it has to do with his cape. So, oh, not to mention, I almost forgot this, because we see this at the beginning, and when he wakes up, his watch, because the watch that he had, obviously, in the first film, and how it connects with Christine, yeah, because it's broken and such, and yeah, a big part of that. So, also at times, like, you know, each character being asked, you know, especially to Steven, are you happy? You know, and more to it, and this has to do with, you know, in the universe that he lives, you know, yeah. So Steven, you know, basically confronting what this is, and basically it's what this is that's, you know, crushing and just throwing stuff on one part of the streets of New York. It's invisible. Well, Steven basically turning it uninvisible, and now everybody can see it, and so can he. This giant one-eyed tentacle creature, and basically, like, has a hold of a bus, and in that bus is America, because basically, that one-eyed tentacle creature slash monster is after America. And that whole sequence where Steven is trying to take on that one-eyed tentacle monster, that's how I'm calling it. I know it has a name to it, but still. You know, taking on that creature, and even Wong, of course, stepping in. Of course, you gotta have Wong, you know, if it's something Doctor Strange. And it depends, like, you know, having Wong in different other MCU materials. Like, you know, best example, Shang-Chi. His appearance in Shang-Chi and in She-Hulk, and how She-Hulk had a connection with Shang-Chi. So, yeah. So Wong, once again being played by good old Benedict Wong, stepping in, and both of them taking on the one-eyed tentacle monster, and they discover and realize that, well, it's after America. Even America established that to them. And there was a funny moment because their powers, and they can just make different shapes and weapons with the powers that they have, the sorcerers, like, you know, making ropes and such, and attaching themselves to that monster, and, you know, it's climbing up one building, and everybody at Christine's wedding can see this, so can she, and her now husband sees this too, and he's fanboying and such. It's funny. And eventually, yeah, they do defeat that one-eyed monster, basically because Stephen Strange, he uses like a pole or something, yeah, stabbing straight into the eye. Ugh. And that's another thing, because, yeah, because you have Sam Raimi directing this, now, okay, Marvel has, at times, shown some graphic, not too graphic stuff, like, you know, maybe like a hand being chopped off or something, that kind of stuff. But I tell you, because you have Sam Raimi in this, he can at times, you know, be good at doing some, you know, gruesome, violent stuff, as he's done in some past movies that he's done. Also, including horror, like how this movie adapts some horror and scary stuff to it, as that's another one of Sam Raimi's things. So, yeah. God, because I can remember, you know, Oz the Great and Powerful having some intenseful moments, you know, just quick, like, jump scares or something, you know? So, yeah, Multiverse of Madness does have that. So, and again, with the gruesome stuff, and again, because that one eye being, like, literally taken out, and that, of course, kills off that monster. And, well, some quick introductions with Steven, Wong, and America, and it doesn't take them too long to, you know, assure her that they're not going to kill her or anything like that, and they just want information from her. And so basically at a cafe, she gives them all the information that, she can travel through different multiverses, and mentioning about this other Stephen Strange that she was with and such, and, someone is after her powers, but who could it be? Well, we don't know until a little bit later on. And, the whole thing of multiverse, because, Stephen and Wong, them being very well aware of the whole multiverse thing, and as they mention, most notably Stephen mentioning this to America, because how they recently had to deal with something like that with Spider-Man, and America, because apparently it's official, because America, where she came from, doesn't have a Spider-Man, so she doesn't know who Spider-Man is, and how Steven is trying to describe Spider-Man to her, and she's thinking, like, he can shoot, like, webs out of his butt. No, of course not. So, it's not how Spider-Man works that way, with shooting webs, like, through his wrists and such. I mean, with, like, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, because through his actual wrists, but for, like, say, Tom Holland's and Andrew Garfield, no, they had to make contraptions to provide the webs, okay? But, it's pretty interesting that there can be other Spider-Men, and in this case, Tobey Maguire, where the web is actually coming through them, their body. It does make sense, so. And not that I'm complaining about, the contraptions, but yeah. So apparently, because Multiverse of Madness taking place right after the events of No Way Home, and as I mentioned, but I also read this, fun fact, because Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be shot, and maybe it was supposed to take place, I don't know, like, maybe it was supposed to take place before the events of No Way Home, I don't know, but because of the virus, that didn't come to be, so it had to be delayed. But whether if, Multiverse of Madness was supposed to take place before or after No Way Home, I think it's for the best that, this taking place after the third Spider-Man film. And I'm sure you guys would think so too. Because it works. They found a way, of course. So, and also, this having a Multiverse of Madness having another connection with not just No Way Home, but something else, which we find out in just a couple of minutes, because, well, America, showing the other, the main Stephen and Wong, the other Stephen Strange that she was with, now dead, and somehow it made its way into the main MCU universe, and, because Stephen giving, his other Stephen's dead body a little burial, and, apparently because they discover that the wounds and such of that dead Stephen, was not done by any sorcerer, and it was, obviously done by a different creature. Well, this other creature, that was attacking them early on in the film, at the start of the film, came from, like, say, the Darkhold. And basically, the Darkhold has a connection, and with this creature, with witchery, if I'm saying that right, yeah. And, Wong is questioning and asking if we know someone who's just like that, with, like, witchery power and witchcraft and such. And, Stephen knows, and we know, and we get a little snippet from the WandaVision, series, the theme music, dun, 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 you heard it. And thus, we get the appearance, and who has a prominent role in the Multiverse of Madness, Wanda Maximoff, once again played by Elizabeth Olsen. And yep, because the Multiverse of Madness also having connections with WandaVision. So yeah, both No Way Home and WandaVision, having direct tie-ins and connections with Multiverse of Madness. So yeah. And we also once again get the appearance of Wanda's children, two boys, which, where are they? Because as always, I have IMDb pulled up, so one of them's Billy. I know it's Billy. Okay, here, how did I mess them up top? Tommy and Billy Maximoff. Tommy, once again, being played by Jet Klein, and Billy, once again, being played by Julian Hillard. Yeah. So, because after what happened in WandaVision, and I'm sure as you all know, because, WandaVision, she created this, like, fantasy world where she was living happily with her 2 boys as well as Vision. But if you know what happened at the end of WandaVision, and with, the further the show goes, we know that, well, because it was all not real. Vision was not alive, and and such. She made that herself with the witch powers that she has, and well, because when we first see Wanda, well, she's happily living with her 2 boys up until we see that she woke up from a dream. Or so it was a dream. And just like what happened in the opening with Steven, could these be dreams? Well, kind of, but there's more to them. So, Steven turning to Wanda in this, like, farmland or something with beautiful trees, like, blossoming and such, and I did notice a herd of sheep, moving and such. Steven turning to Wanda and telling her about someone who has traveled into their universe and with the whole thing of the multiverse and such, and, seeing if she can be any help. Because, with her knowing about the multiverse and because of, the Darkhold and so on. She did mention the kid's name, America, in which, Steven did not say, the kid's name. And it doesn't take too long to, for Steven and for us audience to realize that Wanda, well, actually, not Wanda, because Wanda, now being the Scarlet Witch. Yeah, the Scarlet Witch, and, the Scarlet Witch has, taken over Wanda and such. Wanda is gone, and now it's the Scarlet Witch. Like, because somewhere in her is Wanda, but just being held back by the Scarlet Witch. And she has the Darkhold book, and she is basically going after America to get her powers so she can be reunited with her 2 boys. But the problem is, her boys do not exist, at least in this universe, the main universe of the MCU. Possibly, yeah, because we do find out that, Wanda having 2 boys, well, it exists in, other universes, but not this one, and how badly and desperate she wants to be with her boys, even though they don't exist. She created them, according to Steven, and even, I recall Wong telling Wanda the same thing, but it's really the Scarlet Witch. But the Scarlet Witch, she's not having any of it. She doesn't give a crap, she's just gonna do whatever it takes, and threatening Steven that if they don't turn America over to her, then, well, they'll be sorry. And, well, because, what can they do next? Well, Steven and Wong, they take America safe and sound to, Kamar Taj. I think I'm saying that right. Because the home and location where, the sorcerers live, and as we saw in the first Doctor Strange film. It's an isolated community, I should say, yeah. For the sorcerers, that is. So, at the Kamar Taj, because, they're keeping America safe and sound, and we see a couple of new faces at the Kamar Taj. There's Sarah, being played by Shella Ateem. I've seen her before in a couple of other films, like, she was in that one movie with Halle Berry, Bruised, yeah. And she was also in Disney's live-action Pinocchio, so yeah. So she plays Sarah, and there was one character there, who was like a green bull. Who was it? I don't see him on here, but because obviously, whom voiced, that, like, green bull character, who is a sorcerer. Okay, I found him, yeah. It's, his name is Rentra, if I'm saying the name right, and he was played by, I assume, like, probably it doesn't say voice, but probably, the motion capture performance, whatever. Adam Hugel, I think I might have gotten the last name right. So yeah, him being this like green-looking bull and such who is a sorcerer, and yeah, this is his first time appearing on screen. Yeah, I mean, never knew about this character until, Multiverse of Madness introduced him for the first time in live action. So yeah, he's pretty interesting. So an interesting character. Nice to see, and just heads up, because he doesn't get killed. I mean, not all of them get killed with what's about to happen, because, well, and to speed things up, because yeah, obviously, the Scarlet Witch showing up, and a little like conversation between Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch, and before the battle's about to happen, and even like before that, because right as he was about to confront the Scarlet Witch, because Wong and Steven having a little conversation, and hoping that things will go well, the conversation. And again, just Steven telling, the Scarlet Witch that, her boys do not exist, and, she's making a big mistake doing this, and so on. It's not worth it, because yeah, I mean, it's like she's completely blind. She's completely blind, and even though it's the Scarlet Witch, like, my point being, because, like, she doesn't care whether if she created her boys or not, and if they're not real, because to her, they're real, and so on. So, yeah. And, of course, like, the fight going on, and the sorcerers, keeping the wizards and such, like, keeping, the Kamar Taj, guarded and shield. But Scarlet Witch having a trick up her sleeves, basically, because what she's able to do is get into their minds, and she's able to get in one of the sorcerer's minds, telling and basically whispering in his ear, run. And that's what happens. And that causes, the others to, take the shield down, because, well, that one sorcerer that was tricked by the Scarlet Witch was bumping into them. And yeah, and thus Scarlet Witch proceeding on, and basically them trying to take on the Scarlet Witch, but all of them are basically failing. They really can't stand a chance to the Scarlet Witch. However, Doctor Strange does attempt to trick her by, pulling out an illusion trick on the Scarlet Witch, a maze and so on, an endless illusion and such, but she's able to find a way out of there by going through, like, say, water. And yeah, so basically anything that's wet and such, she can go through it. And her attempt at trying to get to them, and most notably America, and even Strange, telling them to cover them, with blankets and such. But she's still able to get through, like that gong symbol, you know what I'm saying? That crashing gong symbol, and her getting through and just like, ugh, like, oh my gosh, like, that's creepy, scary altogether. Just, well, and that shows you, because you have Sam Raimi doing this one MCU film. So her trying to get to, America, and even like the attempts on her snatching her powers away from America, but, at times her, still being stopped, and up until, well, because of how, because of America being terrified, opening a gateway and portal to another universe. And even when Steven, like, jumped and grabbed America to save her from the Scarlet Witch, leaving poor Wong behind, well, because now Steven and America, throughout the rest of the film, traveling, at one point, they travel through different universes, like one where, like, they're underwater, or one that's entirely of paint, best way to describe. And even, we did get a little bit of bits of footage in some of those trailers, most notably, like one good shot of Steven and his face, just like in like squares. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And there's even a universe that's all cartoon, and I guess one that's black and white, one that's in ruins, and one I guess that's like in freezing cold, and one that's like a jungle. Just, yeah, it doesn't matter what universe, because they're traveling to and what to describe. And eventually they stumble upon this one universe, and that's one of the other main universes that's in this movie. Well, because at one point, yeah, it's understandable because of what just happened and what they went through, because Steven barfing in a trash can, I can understand how he feels. Well, basically, where they're at, and even America establishes this, that, well, because, first off, Steven asked America if maybe they can turn to another version of her in this universe that they're at. But according to America, she's the only one, and she even looked and saw through the different universes that she traveled, there are no other versions of her but just her. So yeah, which is pretty interesting. Well, possibly there can be another version of Stephen Strange, in the universe that they're at. So, them traveling, or, in this universe, like, in the streets of, I assume it's supposed to be New York, a different looking, like, version of New York in this universe they're at. And, like, one thing is, like, in this universe that they're in, unlike, say, the main universe, like, for an example, because, crossing the road, well, because, with the traffic lights turning green, because Steven thinks that, well, because they can cross. But no, in this universe, the green is for to stop. For red, it's for, the people crossing the road to go. So yeah, and America giving Steven the lessons about, being in a different universe, and also another lesson, a second lesson, food, having food in another universe. And, for this, because, I don't know, because I think something like this does exist. Like, yeah, pizza balls, I don't see why not. I think pizza balls do exist. I'll have to check again, but just bear with me. Yeah, so pizza balls in that universe, and at a pizza ball food cart, this one guy who is selling these pizza balls, and that being, okay, there he is, yeah. Pizza Papa? Yeah, that's what he's credited as. We get a cameo from good old Bruce Campbell, and yeah, if you know Sam Raimi very well, you know that most of the time, and I'm pretty sure in all of Sam Raimi's movies, not just the Evil Dead movies that Sam Raimi did with Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi being a lucky charm of Sam Raimi's, and Sam Raimi just, popping up in any movie that Sam Raimi directs. So in this case, for the Multiverse of Madness, him being the pizza papa, selling the pizza balls. And I think, yeah, because in this universe, you don't have to pay for your food. Well, that's nice to see. The pizza papa is recognizing and seeing that, and he thinks, like, someone dressing up as Stephen Strange and thinking that he might have stolen the clothing of Stephen Strange, but little does he know that's actually the Stephen Strange, but from another universe. And Stephen Strange, using his powers to make Pizza Papa to punch himself. And, assuring America that, it won't last long for about, I think, 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, he's gonna be punching himself until it stops. And one other cool thing that happens at one point as they're proceeding on, this, you step on this circle, and basically it can show you your memories from years ago. In this case, for Steven, we see a memory of his where, years ago, and this is before he became Doctor Strange, before he got his powers, and with what happened in that car accident, he was having dinner one night with Christine. Maybe this is when they were dating. I mean, I don't think, it doesn't really, obviously it doesn't establish this, but they were having dinner together, and at that moment, Christine gave Steven his watch. So yeah, and then we see America, a memory of hers when she was a little girl, and yeah, young America being played by Alia Camacho, if I'm saying the last name right, and we see her two moms. Yeah, because if I recall, America is the first Marvel character, maybe in the comics, but also in the MCU, to have two moms. Yeah, so Elena being played by Ruth Lever, if I'm saying the last name right, and Amalia, however you say it, being played by Ches Lopez. And yeah, we sadly see, because, well, at one point, like, very sweet of young America, like, giving a flower to her two moms, and one of the moms putting the flower on the other mom, and at one point, because, yeah, she was picking flowers, a bee came up, and, she kind of panicked, and because she panicked, this caused her to open a portal and such to another universe, and causing her two moms to be sucked in there, and, for them to be separated, and, now they're missing, and, yeah, and it's sad, it really is. But Dr. Stephen Strange, after that, and of course he witnessed it, he assures America that probably they're still alive, and maybe one day they'll be reunited. She'll be reunited with her two moms. Yeah. So, well, obviously, because America probably got her powers from her two moms, so probably because they've been spending quite a while trying to go, from one universe to another, and hopefully in search of their daughter. Yeah. So, yeah, so to speed things up still, because at one point, Stephen and America, they do stumble upon, well, because the same building where Dr. Stephen Strange resides at New York. And turns out because, well, there's a statue there, and with what the statue reads, the plaque, well, because it turns out that Stephen Strange that hopefully they were going to meet and get help died tragically. And what it says on the plaque is, gave his life to defeat Thanos. So yeah, so in this universe that they're in, well, because obviously there being a Stephen Strange and also a Thanos, and, well, Thanos, in this universe, he too was defeated. And then, coming out of the building, and whom they come face-to-face with, is the return, not the same one who we saw in the first Doctor Strange film. It's a different one in a universe, but still, technically the same character. And whom plays him? Baron Mordor, being played once again by Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah, you know who it is, and again, you know me sometimes, so I'm not gonna bother. Yeah, so he's back as Baron Mordor, and you think that, well, even Steven thinks that it's gonna look ugly, but no, Mordor actually hugs and calls him brother, calls Steven, brother. So, okay, this seems all right now, because they don't have to worry about him. And, well, because they meet him, they talk to him about what happened, and with them arriving in this universe, and the whole thing of, the Scarlet Witch and the Darkhold. And it turns out, in every universe, there's, books of, the Darkhold, and a book of Vishanity. Yeah, did I say that right? Vishanity? Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I am saying it right. Yeah, so in every universe, there are different versions of it, and, well, and how they are all connected, so they're basically one whole thing, but just in, different books and such. Yeah, you get my point. But, unfortunately, things slowly but surely get out of hand, and even when, the further conversation that Stephen has with Mordor, and even when, because, well, they were having tea, and, well, Mordor, clearly, he puts something in their teas for each Stephen and America, basically to conk them out. And even because with their vision and, after America passed out, and right as, Stephen was trying to fight it, even because there was a bit of slow motion, like, you son of a bitch, straight to Mordor. Well, because it seems as though, and what Mordor thinks, Stephen is a big problem for, being in this universe. Not the Scarlet Witch, but it's Steven, and we find out further on why Steven is a problem in this universe. And coming back to the main universe, where the Scarlet Witch is, and holding Wong hostage, well, because... yeah, and like I mentioned, because not all of the sorcerers, wizards and so on, not all of them survived. Only a few did. And, yeah, I mean, most of them, were very wounded and such. I mean, at the very end of the movie, we see that, well, there's, most of them did survive. Not to mention, because, can't forget to mention this, I just remember, because they were preparing for the Scarlet Witch's arrival, different sorcerers from different parts of the world showed up as well. So that's nice to see, one of them being British and, from, I think, China, I want to say. But, yeah, it was really cool. So Sarah, being one of them that survived and trying to help out Wong and to destroy a copy of the Darkhold, and that's another thing, because, well, Sarah did successfully, destroy the Darkhold book, and, well, Scarlet Witch basically telling Wong, how to, do this again with what she was attempting to do, using the Darkhold to locate America, and thus using America, yada yada, and... because the Scarlet Witch threatening Wong, if he doesn't tell her about the Darkhold and, and so on, and the location, a specific location to do this with the Darkhold, threatening to kill his other, fellow sorcerers and such, and well, because Wong telling her that it was a copy, and, just a copy, and that wasn't just the only piece of the Darkhold, the main thing. And again, because in, as it was established early on by Mordor, different, books and copies of the Darkhold, and how they're of course connected. And thus, the Scarlet Witch, taking Wong, still hostage to this one location where, yeah, it resides, basically, of the Darkhold, in this forbidden mountain, in ruins and such. And with that, because, well, we of course come back to, the other universe that Steven and America are in, and they're taken to this, secret facility, which looks like it's probably dead center in Central Park, I want to say. It looks like it. Well, because, Steven waking up, America being awake as well, and them being held in these two containers, and we see that this doctor who is there is another version of Dr. Christine Palmer. And basically, according to this other Dr. Christine Palmer in this universe they're in, the universe that they're in right now is referred to as Earth 838, and according to Christine, the main universe that, of the MCU and where Doctor Strange lives, is referred to as Earth 616. And basically, the Stephen Strange that we saw at the very beginning of this movie, who unfortunately got killed, I think, because I'm looking at it, because, that's Stephen Strange, and I'm pretty sure the same goes for America, coming from Earth 199999. So that's 5 nines. So, and basically, because, whom it is, not just Mordor, but whom has brought Dr. Stephen Strange in, and he is a concern. And Stephen questioning and asking Christine, what this is. S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra, the Avengers. But not really, because Mordor's stepping in, and with him, we see Ultrons. Because, there's Ultrons, not like Ultron himself, but his minions, Ultron minions, best way to put at it. And, by the way, because the voice of Ultron is credited, the Ultron minions, how I'm referring to them, because basically they are. Ultron being voiced by Ross Marquand, if I'm saying the last name right, yeah. Basically, where Stephen Strange is at and what lies in this universe that he's in, him in America, and whom Stephen is about to come face to face with, is the Illuminati. Yeah, because I didn't really know that much about the Illuminati until the Multiverse of Madness happened, and obviously, as I usually do, right before a Marvel movie comes out, I have to do my research. So, the Illuminati basically being this other superhero team where it's kind of like the Avengers, because basically, like, you know, you have each different superheroes, you know, in this superhero team. So that goes for the Illuminati, because for the Illuminati, like, you have, I think, yeah, for this, like, you have one member from another superhero team. So for the Illuminati, and whom we see in the Illuminati, and fun fact, because there were supposed to be more than just, like, you know, how many, the total of number of members of the Illuminati we get in the Multiverse of Madness. There were supposed to be a couple of more. Like, we were at one point possibly gonna have a different Tony Stark / Iron Man. We were supposed to have Thor's brother, but before I mention them further on, because, yeah, the members of the Illuminati appearing in the Multiverse of Madness, well, we of course have Mordor, and obviously he's taking the late Stephen Strange's place. I'm pretty sure. So, hey, at least a sorcerer in that universe has to take the place of Stephen Strange in the Illuminati. So the members of the Illuminati, yeah, we have Captain Carter. And Captain Carter, obviously, being played by Haley Atwell. We finally see Captain Carter on screen, and as we did get Captain Carter in the Marvel animated show on Disney+, What If? Yeah. So finally, to see Captain Carter in live action and seeing Haley Atwell in that getup, that's awesome. There's also Black Bolt from the Inhumans, and Black Bolt, once again, being played by Anson Mount, if I'm saying his first name right, who did play Black Bolt in the Inhumans series that sadly lasted for one season, because we all know how that turned out, but that's another story. But, you know, it's nice to see that they gave a member of the Inhumans another chance to appear, you know, in something else, Marvel, you know, MCU, and in this case, one of the main members of the Inhumans, Black Bolt. Also, Captain Marvel, and this Captain Marvel being played by Lashana Lynch, and Lashana Lynch, who in the main universe of the MCU plays, you know, Carol Danvers' best friend. Yeah. So, in this universe, she's Captain Marvel, not Carol Danvers. We also have Reed Richards, and yeah, Reed Richards in the Multiverse of Madness, and him being one of the members of the Illuminati, audiences went nuts over this. And I think even, if I remember correctly, before the Multiverse of Madness, and I do recall hearing about this, you know what? I, like the others, you know, was down to see if it could happen. Reed Richards, this Reed Richards being played by John Krasinski. Yeah, and perfect casting for Reed Richards. And sadly how, well, you know, not getting John Krasinski back as Reed Richards in, you know, the main Fantastic Four movie in the MCU, you know, instead it's Pedro Pascal. Nothing wrong with Pedro Pascal, but, you know, still, it would have been nice, but you know, that's just what they wanted to do for the Fantastic Four movie, so, you know. But John Krasinski, obviously, he doesn't disappoint as Reed Richards, and obviously we know that there's probably an Invisible Woman in that universe, and maybe possibly, even if she were to appear in this movie, which, of course, the movie didn't need her, no reason to, but, you know, a little mentioning of her, not by name, but still. The Invisible Woman, you know, being, you know, possibly played by John's wife, Emily Blunt. Yeah, because, you know, John Krasinski, you know, him, you know, he loved the sound of, you know, the fans fan casting him and his wife to play two members of the Fantastic Four, and even Emily Blunt came out and made a comment about this. Madness, I recall. So, but, nice to see that, we got to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and for the first time ever, finally to see something Fantastic Four in an MCU movie. So basically, the court has come to order, for Stephen Strange. Again, the Scarlet Witch is not their problem. They think at first they can easily take on the Scarlet Witch. But for Stephen Strange, he's definitely their problem, because the whole thing of this thing called dreamwalking, and because dreamwalking being a very problematic thing when it comes to multiverse traveling. Also, the risk and cause of an incursion, because and also dreamwalking having a part in this too, because I'm looking at it, of the incursion. In another universe, Doctor Strange used dreamwalking to travel across the multiverse, and so on. So dreamwalking and incursion having a big part. And Steven, the main Steven, he's confused, and he's wondering, why would the other Stephen Strange in that universe he's in be a problem? Because as he read on the plaque of that Stephen Strange was the one that defeated and killed Thanos, but actually that's not the case. And we hear a voice saying, we should tell him the truth. And who is that British-speaking voice we hear? Well, it's none other than the last member of the Illuminati whom we see, and finally make an appearance, Professor Charles Xavier. And this Charles Xavier, and once again being played by good old Sir Patrick Stewart. Not the Charles Xavier that we knew in the X-Men movies, but, this being a completely different Charles Xavier, but still having the same face as the other Charles Xavier. Well, why not? I mean, it's just like, say, how, obviously, for Deadpool and Wolverine, or say Beast, spoilers, both of them all being once again played by, say Kelsey Grammer or Hugh Jackman. They're not the exact same X-Men characters that we saw in the X-Men movies, but I'm sure you get my point, and it's very understandable. And, it's good to see Patrick Stewart once again back as, not the same Charles Xavier, but, still a different Charles Xavier in a different universe. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so quick mentioning, and, talking more about other members of the Illuminati and who else was considered and supposed to appear with the Illuminati in the Multiverse of Madness. So, as I mentioned, a different Tony Stark / Iron Man, which would have been played by Tom Cruise. I think, because that was a rumor, and I think, it was considered to happen, but unfortunately, they were unable to reach out and, to settle, talks with Tom Cruise, because, at the time, he was busy working on the Mission Impossible films. So that would have been interesting. Not to mention, also, another fun fact about Tom Cruise and Iron Man. Tom Cruise, before Robert Downey Jr., he was one of those actors that was considered for the role of Tony Stark / Iron Man. But I'm sure he would have been interesting, and I'm sure he would have been good. But I think we would all be thankful it would be Robert Downey Jr. So, yeah. Another member of the Illuminati who was this close to be considered being in the Multiverse of Madness, and who would play this other member of the Illuminati, but unfortunately, the appearance of this other Marvel character, a part of the Illuminati, did not happen, and eventually the part was given to Reed Richards, and thus John Krasinski playing the role of Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic. Balder the Brave, he was very considered to be in the Illuminati, to make an appearance in the Multiverse of Madness, with the Illuminati, that is. And Daniel Craig was considered to play Balder the Brave, but unfortunately, that of course did not happen. And as I said, eventually, taking Balder the Brave's appearance in the Multiverse of Madness would be Mr. Fantastic / Reed Richards, and that, of course, being John Krasinski. But it would have been interesting, to see Daniel Craig finally be in the MCU. And, and Balder the Brave, he's supposed to be Thor's brother. Yeah, because that's what I read. But, with whom we got, with the Illuminati and who all made an appearance in the Multiverse of Madness, pretty good. Okay, so continuing on with the film, and, to speed things up still, because, at one point, there's this one location that, this location that the Scarlet Witch and Wong arrived, because, that is surrounded by dark magic and witchcraft, and basically it's the main source and main part of the Darkhold, that being Mount Woundagore, if I'm saying the name right, and up top the mountain is the Darkhold Castle, what used to be the Darkhold Castle, but it was, abandoned, and, that mountain that has the Darkhold Castle was forbidden off grounds and such. But of course, the Scarlet Witch showing up and, taking the Darkhold Castle of her own and, using the power and magic of the Darkhold and such to proceed on what she's doing. And with what lies in the Darkhold Castle, well, these giant creatures pop up, and you think that they're going to attack not just Wong, but the Scarlet Witch. Even she was about to prepare herself for battle, but no, because actually, they bow to her. They're under her command. They were waiting for her. It's her throne. Yeah, because even like a statue carving of the Scarlet Witch, yeah. So now, with her having the Darkhold Castle to herself and with the throne, now she can proceed on with what she was doing. And by the way, because, and coming back to the Illuminati, because them having a conversation and, with, them explaining the truth about their Dr. Stephen Strange and the defeat of Thanos, well, Doctor Strange, basically, their Dr. Stephen Strange was doing the opposite and, basically breaking rules, because, again, the whole thing of dream walking and, causing, incursion, and basically just the possibility and big risks of messing up the universes and, possibility of, colliding one universe with another and such. Yeah, so... And because it really got out of hand, and with the powers of Charles Xavier basically showing Stephen Strange what happened, after the defeat of Thanos, basically, because we see, the planet of Titan, and we see the body of Thanos, because basically on that planet of Titan, they were all there, and there was their Stephen. They were basically executing him, and, they definitely regretted and, well, I wouldn't say regretted it, but I'm sure they did, but still, they had no choice. They had to do it, and, how much they hated doing it, and how much they would miss their Stephen Strange. And with Black Bolt, because with one whisper of a voice, like him talking, he could kill someone, and thus he does so with Stephen Strange by saying, "I'm sorry." And that's really the only speaking line that Black Bolt has. By saying, "I'm sorry," that causes like a huge blast wave and such, and killing and executing their Stephen Strange. Wow. And basically what's going to happen is that they're not going to take any risks with that Stephen Strange that's come to their universe. And, they will put a vote on if he lives or dies, best way to put at it. And also they mentioned that because, Scarlet Witch is not their problem, they think that they can easily take care of the Scarlet Witch. We find out that with the Darkhold, the Scarlet Witch can take possession of different, versions of her in different universes. And obviously, in that universe that Steven and America are in, there is a Wanda. and thus Scarlet Witch reaching out and trying to possess and take control of her other self in that universe, which she does at one point, but fails at first. Yeah, because that's before a copy of the Darkhold book was destroyed, and her doing it once again, and this time, yeah, she does have control of her other self in that universe, and thus having her other self travel to the location of where America is at, the facility of the Illuminati. So, yeah, but before they're about to cast their votes, the Illuminati, on Stephen Strange, well, it's interrupted by some commotion, which being Scarlet Witch taking possession of that Wanda. And they can see through the security camera footage that even obviously, because they can't stand a chance to the Scarlet Witch, the Ultron minions are losing at Scarlet Witch, and thus the Illuminati preparing to stop Scarlet Witch, who has possession of that Wanda. But Charles Xavier, well, once most of them leave the room, except for, well, him and Mordor, Charles basically tells that Stephen, the main Stephen, that about the Book of Vicinity, giving him the coordinates and the location of where it is. It's being kept safe and locked. And Mordor, he's just completely baffled, what, Charles, why are you doing this? We can't trust him, but don't underestimate Charles. Knowing Charles Xavier himself, he knows, and he can definitely tell that there's something about this Stephen Strange that, yeah, he's really nothing like their Stephen. The thing is, most of the Stephen Stranges, if not all of the Stephen Stranges in all the universes, are the same, but there are still some differences, if you get what I'm saying. And Xavier knows that. So he knows that Stephen can be trusted, and even telling Stephen that, we should see what kind of Doctor Strange you are, how he says it, and yeah, so he's giving Stephen a chance to succeed, and not really going in the direction that their Stephen did. So yeah, because, with Wanda going after, Wanda being controlled by the Scarlet Witch, trying to get after America, and to speed things up, because Mordor, basically, he's still in the room with Stephen, but where did Charles go? He left too to get ready, I assume, but, missing out on what Mordor does next. And Stephen, at one point, he just starts to mess with Mordor and really getting him to snap, and, he's wanting Mordor to get him and such. And finally, because Mordor's had enough of what Stephen is saying to him, and, just making, insults, and because, mentioning about the Mordor he knows in his universe, etc., and Mordor finally snapping and just enough! I now cast my vote! And, well, for his vote, killing him, and thus a little battle between that Mordor and the main Stephen. And it is nice to see that, we did get to see this. I'm pretty sure the original plans for Doctor Strange sequel, before what it became now, because obviously we were going to get the returning appearance of Mordor, and, well, by this point, Mordor just completely snapped and turned evil, and clearly we would have seen a battle between Mordor and Stephen, and we did. So it's nice to see that it was still there, even though it wasn't the Mordor from the main MCU universe, and where Stephen comes from. So yeah, and to speed things up, because yeah, of course, Stephen, defeating Mordor and yeah, cuffing him because of those special cuffs, when they have to be attached, it's like a magnets, and specially designed by Dr. Christine. So yeah, so that's it for Mordor. That's the last we see of him. At least we know that he's one of the last remaining Illuminati members that survives, because what happens next? The epic battle between the Illuminati and the Scarlet Witch taking possession of that Wanda. Well, because I tell you, because this right here, and with what happens, again, they think that, the Scarlet Witch is not a problem for them, but no, I think it's obvious, and if anybody realized this before, we see this, they really don't stand a chance with Scarlet Witch. Really, they don't. And even, like, starting with, like, yeah, because when we see Reed Richards, Captain Carter, Captain Marvel, and Black Bolt right there, and, you know, Black Bolt is going to take out, you know, Scarlet Witch, possessing Wanda, and even Reed Richards telling, and by the way, because, I can't forget to mention this, because Reed telling Scarlet Witch that he knows her pain because he too has kids, and oh boy, the Scarlet Witch, like, whoo, like, you know, asking him if, you know, if the mother is still alive, and he says yes, and, you know, good, then there will be one parent to look after them, and so on. Oh boy. God, imagine the news that was given to, you know, Sue and their kids about his death. Oh, that'd be sad, for one thing. So again, Reed Richards, coming to this, Reed Richards telling Scarlet Witch that Black Bolt can destroy her with one word, you know, by opening his mouth, and Scarlet asks, "What mouth?" And we see she removed his mouth. God! And what happens next is she crushed one part of the top of his head, just and blood coming out of his nostrils, like, and that's it for Black Bolt. He's done for. And even Reed Richards, he tried to go after the Scarlet Witch, you know, using his flexible powers, but yeah, clearly he's no match for her, and basically what she does is it just, you know, basically like peeling him, and up until like his head pops, like, oh my gosh, like a tragic way to die. Well, all of them basically, because now it's the ladies that, you know, take on the other ladies. So yeah, girl fight basically. Yep, Captain Carter and Captain Marvel, they're one of the last two remaining members of the Illuminati to take on, you know, the Scarlet Witch. All except for Xavier, because we see him in a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, they seem to be succeeding, like kicking her butt and such. But of course, sure enough, you know, they do get defeated by the Scarlet Witch. The Scarlet Witch grabbing a hold of Captain Carter's shield, throwing it at her, and cutting her and such by her chest. Like, oh, poor Carter. And that's it for Carter. And for, you know, Captain Marvel, well, it seems like because of how powerful Captain Marvel is, you think that maybe she has a shot at defeating the Scarlet Witch, but nope, she doesn't. And poor Captain Marvel, her demise is being crushed by a statue. Ugh. And, well, the Scarlet Witch proceeding on, you know, getting America, and Christine trying to open, you know, the container that America was kept in, but she's having no ability to open it because, well, Scarlet Witch has hacked into the systems. But sure enough, one of the other last remaining members of the Illuminati, Charles Xavier, stepping in, and him using his mind powers to stop the Scarlet Witch, but and her doing the same thing too. And it's like, yeah, it's like they're very powerful with mind powers and such, and yeah, like kind of like not standing a chance with either one. So it's like, you know, they technically both have each control of each other, you know. And we see Charles Xavier, like, he's walking, and by the way, it's nice that they incorporated Charles Xavier's floating chair, and just like how it is in the comics and in the X-Men 90 show, and how there was a little snippet of the X-Men theme, da-na-na-na-na-na-na, inserted when we first see Charles Xavier. Nice on Danny Elfman's part. He's done that before in other movies, like most notably the Justice League, as I would refer to call it Josh Whedon's Justice League, where he did incorporate the Batman theme that he wrote, I think the Flash theme as well, and John Williams' Superman theme, as well as Wonder Woman's theme, yeah. So there's an example for you. So Charles Xavier, we see, because I guess from his vision, because he's walking, I think there's like a war going on or something, probably because, you know, from his time, World War II, because, you know, wreckages and such, and with, you know, bricks and such, and he can see that Wanda is trapped underneath bricks and such, and, you know, Charles Xavier telling her that, you know, Wanda Maximoff, your mind is being held hostage by your alternate self. You know, reach my hand, and maybe that can break the spell. And it seems like, yeah, like Charles might succeed, But unfortunately, the Scarlet Witch showing up with, dark red clouds, and, well, sure enough, she pops out and snaps and breaks Charles' neck, and thus he is killed. And that's the third time Charles Xavier has died in a Marvel film and such. Oh my gosh. Haven't we had enough of that already? I think 3 is enough of having poor Charles Xavier be killed, because the first 2 times he got killed. So it's like, I'm not sure, but I just now realize this, I'm not being serious on this, but it's like Marvel seems to have had a really good time 3 times killing off Charles Xavier, one of the most powerful and great characters of the Marvel Comics, very wise and kind and helpful. You see what I mean? Those kind of characters that sadly meet their demise. It's sad, Yeah, so that's it for Charles Xavier. However, that did buy some time for Christine and America to get out of there, because even America, at one point, before Charles stepped in, she, tried to break the glass, which she successfully did, and with her powers. And little did she realize until later on what she can do with her powers. And even, throughout the film, her saying that she can't control her powers. But who says that she can't control her powers? I mean, sure, because we see, with her being afraid and such, but there's more that she can do with her powers and, realizing that she can control it. So again, Christine and America, they made their way out of there while Charles Xavier was keeping Scarlet Witch busy trying to take on the Scarlet Witch, but sadly, Xavier failed. And, because thankfully, Christine and America, they catch up with, and meet up with, Doctor Strange. And by the way, Doctor Strange's cape, because, he's reunited with his cape, actually, because, when they were traveling through the different universes, because unfortunately, Doctor Strange's cape got damaged and such, got ripped and so on, but thankfully, Christine helped Doctor Strange cape by patching up the cape and such. I think, because with that blue patch, or, what it is on the cape, I wonder I feel like that might have come from the comics, I want to say. Maybe so, but yeah. So yeah, nice to see that the cape is doing okay, all patched up and such, wounded, tended to his woundness. And so they proceed on, and because, Stephen telling that Christine, in this universe that they're in, about, what Xavier did to him, and, telling him the information about the Book of Sanity and, the coordinates of where to locate it and such, in a secret vault and so on. Yeah. And Christine, she's not sure at first, but Stephen assures her that, she has to trust him no matter what. So the only chance they got is, for her to trust him, and they can proceed on and so on. And yeah, that little sequence where they're running away from the Scarlet Witch. She's on their tail, and even say, because, when they're escaping and closing doors, and how they're wondering at one point where she is, but, when she pops up, oh my gosh, her finding ways, and also because of water. So yeah. So eventually they do make their way to, where the book is being kept, and having trouble trying to open it. But I mean, Stephen is the only one who can open it. And the only way to open it specifically, because Christine hands over Stephen his watch. That works, and thus they make their way into this one, in this location where the book is being kept. How she says it, the space between universes. I think, that's what she says. So, but there's a specific name to it. And yeah, if I remember, I'll put a text, of what she calls it. So, them reaching to the book, and they float down and to get to the book. But sure enough, the Scarlet Witch shows up, and and unfortunately, they do not get their hands on the Book of Sanity, and she now has possession and has, well, not possession, but has America, held hostage and sending America back to the main universe in the MCU where she is in the Darkhold Castle, and sending Christine and Doctor Strange to another universe. So yeah, so they end up in this other universe where it's snowy, because yeah, like New York is snowy, but also there was a rift, and where in this universe that they're in, it caused an incursion. So yeah, and in this universe that they're in, because well, hopefully, other Stephen Strange resides there and is alive and well. And well, because they proceed on to, well, the location of where Stephen Strange would be at, and because they make their way there, and Stephen proceeding up in the building and coming face to face with his other self. This one Stephen Strange, because he's kind of like lost his color, and because I remember, because when the teaser was shown for the Multiverse of Madness, and especially when it was shown after No Way Home, because we saw that other Steven. So yeah, we did get our little taste of what to expect in the Multiverse of Madness, and to see other Dr. Stephen Stranges. So yeah, this Stephen Strange that the main Stephen Strange comes face to face with, just about lost his color, and he's kind of on the same level as how the Scarlet Witch is. And for Stephen, well, that being Christine, and wanting to be with Christine and such. And yeah, because the whole thing of, are you happy, and so on. And, like, imagine if, like, living in another universe and you can have what you didn't get and such. In this case, Stephen not getting the girl, which being Christine, and so on. And for this Stephen, looking very creepy and with barely any, like, color and such, wanting Christine. But that's for sure not going to happen, and that Stephen does not cooperate in giving the other main Stephen a copy of the Darkhold. Yeah, because having a copy of the Darkhold, and we also see that depressing-looking and creepy-looking Stephen Strange has another eye on top of his head, and clearly, because, well, this has to do with the Darkhold. The Darkhold's doing having another eye on his forehead, and a little battle between the two Doctor Stranges, and it's really interesting and clever how the main good Stephen Strange uses and pulls out notes from sheets of music paper, and we can hear a bit of music and such, basically using that as like a weapon and such to, and the other Stephen Strange does that, using musical notes to defeat one another. And of course, in the end, the main Stephen Strange defeats the other one, creepy looking and such, by sending him out the window, and Christine sees this, and it's kind of like right in front of her as when he lands, and, his body goes through a fence post, fence pole and such, and yep, he's done for. Even like his third eye on his forehead open, and that did startle Christine. Understandable being startled at something like that, right? And back in the main universe, because, well, the Scarlet Witch, her about to, rip out America's powers and using it and to find her boys who don't exist, in that universe, basically. And even like, say, like Wong and America, like questioning her about, what's going to happen, when she is with them, and, well, because they already have a mother, which being her, but in another universe, and so on. At one point early on, because Wong got tossed, off the mountain and, at a cliff, and he was knocked out at one point, but he regained consciousness, I should say. And, and back in the other universe that Stephen and Christine are at, well, because now Stephen having possession of a copy of the Darkhold now, because he can use it and to take on and to reach and to save America. And again, because, using the Darkhold and with what the Scarlet Witch does and what Stephen is about to do, possessing other versions of, himself and herself. And with Dr. Stephen Strange, yeah, him doing that by controlling another, version of himself. And what he does, and yeah, this is a twist, like, he can control and possess another version of himself who's dead. And in this case, the first Stephen Strange that we saw at the start of the movie and unfortunately met his demise, and, Stephen, the main Stephen burying that Stephen, well, resurrecting him, and now we now have zombie Doctor Strange, which is pretty interesting, and how I think it's it's definitely one of the first times we see, like, a zombie version of a Marvel character, because how, like, in this case, with the Marvel animated show What If, one episode where it centers on, like, a zombie apocalypse, even at the Avengers campus at Disney's California Adventure, they had a meet and greet, walk around version of zombie Steve Rogers / Captain America. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure, yeah, because the Multiverse of Madness being the first time we see on screen a zombie version of a Marvel character. And no doubt about it, because that's been in the Marvel comics, zombie versions of Marvel characters. Heck, like, I even remember, like, seeing, like, action figures of zombie versions of Marvel characters, like, say, I think, yeah, Captain America, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk. So, yeah, nice to see that the Multiverse of Madness has done that. And, well, zombies is something of Sam Raimi's, like, it's his taste, so yeah. And because of what Steven is doing, like summoning his other self who's now dead, again, hence zombie, now zombie Doctor Strange, this summons and enter the souls of the damned. And yeah, because a little description of them. So the souls of the damned were demons inhabiting the Darkhold that confronted those who used Darkhold's forbidden spell. So yeah, that's what basically Stephen is doing, possessing and controlling his other now dead self. And because of this, and because this summoning the souls of the damned, and somehow, and thankfully, Stephen controlling his now zombie self, controlling and having the souls of the damned, like, kind of like under his command and such, and they kind of make a cape for that zombie Strange. However, at one point, this causes the souls of the damned to, like, come out of the main Stephen Strange, out of his eye, even Christine, because, Stephen asking Christine to be right there and to keep watch and to protect his body. And, well, because with, some of the souls of the damned coming out of his eye and, kind of like, they're going after Christine. And good on Christine's part, because she, gets out this, like, this ancient object or whatever it is of flames and using it to, shoot flames at the souls of the damned. And, of course, that defeats some of the souls of the damned that come out of his eye. So good on Christine's part. It was a nice moment for her, doing something heroic and being in action and such, So, yeah, the now zombie Doctor Strange showing up to the Darkhold Castle, trying to stop the Scarlet Witch, even, again, as I mentioned, Wong regaining consciousness and, trying to take on the giant creatures, like, him trying to climb up the mountain, but he's really, at one point, not gonna, like, stand a chance, especially since they're throwing giant rocks at him. But sure enough, the zombie Doctor Strange showing up and taking care of them, like, causing all of them to fall off the mountain. And, yeah, of course, Wong is happy to see that Doctor Strange is back, but he knows it's not, the Doctor Strange that he knows in that universe. Even when he can see that it's an undead Doctor Strange, again, zombie Doctor Strange, he's like, I don't want to know. Just like, no need to, because he gets the point, he knows what's happening, and it's not necessary to know about this, of a dead Doctor Strange. So, yeah. The zombie Doctor Strange helping out America, and eventually, because, what happens is, even like because the zombie Doctor Strange, because even like Wong told him to take America's powers away, it was the only way, but no. Doctor Strange, taking possession of zombie Doctor Strange, has something else in mind, and there can be another way. And America, I think, because by this point she finally gives in, and, she thinks that, well, her powers are going to be taken away from her. But zombie Doctor Strange, which really being Doctor Strange taking control of him, you get the point, assures and tells America that, well, she can control and, her powers, she can. She thinks that she can't, but Doctor Strange assures her, and thus she does so, and she tries it, and thankfully she does. She gains the ability to control her powers, and by, punching Scarlet Witch, ooh, yeah, a really good punch, her, fighting with her powers, with her fists and such, it shows how powerful and strong she can be. And her, fighting the Scarlet Witch, and sure enough, what America does next is, well, she opens a portal for her to, come face-to-face with her two boys, giving her what she wants. And, when the Scarlet Witch comes face-to-face with her two boys, well, her boys go into a panic mode and, calling out for their mom. And, well, the same Wanda that she took possession of, because she did regain consciousness, and after being possessed by the Scarlet Witch, and, she realized where she was, and she returned back to her boys. So she knows and is aware of the Scarlet Witch, and her trying to take on the Scarlet Witch, but for the Scarlet Witch, just easy for her, she just, shoves her aside and tries to, be reunited with her boys. But they're really not her children, and, well, and because, the boys are terrified and throwing toys and such at her, and stop it! And, she assures them, and she gets emotional that, telling them and assuring them that she would never hurt them, but she now realizes, and look around you, do you now see what you've been doing, Scarlet Witch? Honey, just... I don't know why I said honey, but you get my point. Just take a look around you, gal. And it now comes clear to her, and now she wakes up from and realizing what the heck she's done. And, Wanda in that universe, universe number, what was it? 838, because, well, you think that, because when she approaches the Scarlet Witch, because she's now gotten down on her knees and breaking down, well, you think that Wanda from Universe 838 is she going to do something to the Scarlet Witch? Is she going to take her down? No, because I think she rubs her face, because, she was crying and such, and she tells the Scarlet Witch that, to assure her that they will be loved and taken care of, okay? Even though they're not her children from, another universe and such, And now the Scarlet Witch finally gives in and accepts the fact. Finally accepts the fact. And, by the way, almost forgot to mention this, because in that universe of 838, because in the house of Wanda and her two boys, because, a couple of times where we see them play something on the TV, and they're playing a couple of Disney cartoons. Early on in the film, they had Oswald the Lucky Rabbit on, and in the climax, and where the Scarlet Witch showed up, they had Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on. So I thought I'd mention that, and I'm sure some of you probably did notice that, what was on their TV in the background. So, the Scarlet Witch, what she does next is, well, basically end the Darkhold, basically destroying it once and for all. And with that, her, I guess, basically, killing herself, because, with the Darkhold going out, then so must she. Or so we think, because, having America and Wong get out of there, and thus, we see the Scarlet Witch taking down the main source and part of the Darkhold, and with every Darkhold copy in every universe destroyed as well, because, again, every copy of the Darkhold being linked to the main source, which being, of course, the Darkhold Castle. So the Darkhold is done, destroyed once and for all, and Scarlet Witch as well, because I think it's been established that probably as though that, yeah, Wanda Maximoff is not really dead, but at some point, yeah, because, you know, she'll be back and so on. And even, I think, yeah, because Elizabeth Olsen, of course, you know, has expressed interest and, you know, possibly with a movie of her own and such, and maybe by the time, you know, you're once again watching this review, my review of the Multiverse of Madness, that all has happened. So yeah. So yeah, that's it for the Scarlet Witch, and hopefully, you know, poor Wanda Maximoff in the main MCU universe has survived. So yeah. And thus, after that, because one last, you know, scene between Doctor Strange and Dr. Christine from Universe 838, and a very touching moment where Doctor Strange tells Christine, I love you in every universe. Like, that's sweet, because and he admits now that, you know, he might not need someone to care for him and such, how he says it, and sometimes not, for people needing someone in their life forever and such, you know, and what the movie establishes and what Doctor Strange says. Well said, very well said. And thus, you know, them saying their goodbyes, of course, and each of them returning to their main universes. And back in the main universe of where Dr. Stephen Strange resides, you know, the main, which, you know, as it's referred to, Earth 616. Yeah, so that's basically the number of the main MCU universe. So yeah, back in, you know, Universe 616, and also because Kamar Taj is being rebuilt, and most of the a handful of the sorcerers / wizards, you know, they've survived, even the Green Bull, you know, and now America is being taught the ways of a sorcerer, and, you know, this is her first start, and, you know, she's not quite there and with what she's trying to do, so just like a little flicker and such that we see, you know, is funny. Well, because, you know, one more conversation between Stephen and Wong towards the end of the movie, and, you know, another mentioning of, are you happy? You know, Stephen asking this to Wong, and yeah, Wong seems to be happy, and, you know, I guess, like, not to worry about his other selves and other universes, and know that, you know, his life is in good hands and so on, you know, and one more conversation between America and Stephen Strange, and her thanking him and such, and, you know, and her fitting very well in this universe. Yeah. And yeah, that was nice and sweet, definitely. And with what we see next, with Stephen, well, because we now see him at one point fixing his watch, and he successfully fixed his watch, upgraded it, yeah, and then he starts to take a stroll out, you know, in the streets of New York, and I also like how at times when it's shown in any MCU film and such, some citizens of New York noticing and pointing at, you know, any Marvel character that's, you know, roaming around and such, and they know who it is. So I noticed that in the Multiverse of Madness, there were a couple of people that recognized and pointed at Stephen Strange. They know that it's Doctor Strange. So recognizing someone, a superhero without their wardrobe. Yeah, so that's nice to see. And what happens next, because with Stephen, you know, having a little walk, you know, outside of his building, that's interrupted. His little stroll is interrupted when he's not feeling so good. And it turns out that, well, he now has a third eye because of the Darkhold's doing and what happened and what it did to the other, miserable Stephen Strange. Now, the main Stephen Strange has that too, a third eye. And what a heck of a way to end that off, because, we get, the end credits. And, the end credits to anything MCU, they're always done really good, definitely. Very stylish and artistic and such. You get what I'm saying. And we get our first scene during the credits, mid-credits scene, basically. In that, well, because after what happened to poor Steven, now having a third eye, well, he's greeted by a new face in the MCU, and, well, obviously she comes from the comics, and the first time that we see her on screen, Clee, if I'm saying her name right, yeah, Clee, being played by Charlize Theron. Yep, so Charlize Theron plays Clee, and basically she meets and informs Steven that, well, he caused an incursion, and now with her, both of them have to fix that problem. And, well, it doesn't take too long for Steven to tag along with her and to solve and fix this problem. And thus, well, a new adventure awaits for Steven alongside with Clee. So, yeah. And already, because Clee doesn't seem to disappoint, and with Charlize Theron playing Clee. So, yeah, so cool to finally see Clee on the big screen and in the MCU. So, yeah, so that's the mid-credits scene. And after the credits finish, the after-credits scene, the last scene in the movie before the movie finishes, well, we come back to Pizza Papa. Yeah, Pizza Papa once again appears, and still just, punching himself and how badly bruised he is. Like, oh my gosh, poor Pizza Papa. And it does finally end, because, yeah, I think, yeah, after 3 weeks, it finally stops, and, like, just, and he looks directly at the camera for the first time in the MCU, and before She-Hulk, the MCU breaking the fourth wall, and, it's nice that Bruce Campbell became the first one to break the fourth wall in the MCU by saying directly at us, audience, it's over! Yeah, because, yeah, it's over for him punching himself, but also, technically, the movie being over. So, yeah. So that was a great way to end the Multiverse of Madness. And, hey, with Bruce Campbell, yeah, it was funny. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Again, I don't think it's that bad. And again, it's not god-awful. It really isn't. But it's really... like I also said, like, probably not the strongest, and, probably not one of the top best sequels in the MCU, and for this being, a sequel to Doctor Strange, but it's not that bad. I really enjoy it, and I know there's a lot of others, like myself, that enjoy Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The story was pretty good, the characters, and with new faces stepping in, the visuals, the music and score by good old Danny Elfman, the surprises, the cameos and appearances, the shocking and twisting moments, yeah, just everything about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was pretty good, and I don't think it really disappointed with what it had to offer. And I'm giving Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, yeah, this sounds about right. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 stars. Yes, 7 out of 10 stars for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And what about you guys? What did you think of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness itself? Did any of you come to like and enjoy this and get into it? Any of you that got to see this on the big screen? Or, some of you, like me, got to see this when it came out straight to Disney Plus, digital DVD and so on, anything that, got you excited, and, whom appeared in this, and, with the funny and emotional moments. And yeah, I almost forgot to mention, the funny and emotional moments Well, they never disappoint in anything MCU, and yeah, definitely they did not disappoint in the Multiverse of Madness. And yeah, just anything that you enjoyed in this and where the story was going. Yeah, just everything about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and with what I've had to say and with my review. And yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. Take care, and until the second to last MCU film in Phase 4, Thor: Love and Thunder, and until the next Doctor Strange film, peace out, and Avengers, assemble.